What's going on, everybody? We're here. We're back. It's Sunny TV Arsenal, and today we're back with another The Football Roundup show. What did I say? That football? It's The Football Roundup show, not
The
that.
Football
I don't know where I got that from. I'm losing my mind here, people. Anyways, I got my guest here, my touted guest. We're gonna start off with Steve in the top. Steve, say what up to the people.
Hello, everybody. How you doing out there?
Then we got Melvin. Melvin, say what up to the people.
Good evening, everybody. Looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah. Now we got Devo with us. Devo, say what up to the people and introduce yourself. Let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day in Atlanta, Georgia. You can find me on Instagram at Devon Lewow, DEVONLEWOW, or you can find me on Twitter, and that's at Devon, DEVON, the number 4 real, Devon for real.
Devon for real. Okay. Since it's your first time, you're from Atlanta. How did you become? We usually ask this. Melvin usually asks, but Melvin, what's your question for you for new guests? You usually ask them where they're from, how did they fall in love with Arsenal? So you can take it away from here.
Right, now what should I do? I don't know. How did you? What made you support the Arsenal?
Well, my mother worked in the music business, and she had a jazz act named Acoustic Alchemy that was based out of London. And Greg Carmichael, one of the guitar players, was a season ticket holder at Highbury, had a box, and I was able to go to a match against Ipswich Town in April of '94. I saw Ian Wright score in the 82nd and 87th minute and was hooked. I mean, Highbury was such an amazing, religious experience that, over in the States, it was tough to get Prem matches at that point in time. And everything was, I played a high level soccer or football, as you guys call it. I was a regional Olympic developmental pool player. So, but everybody here was pushing Manchester United. And having been in London and stayed in London for a while and seeing the Arsenal, there was no coming back from that. And as of now, I mean, I'm an American with the crest tattooed on my chest. So, Arsenal is more than just a team for me. They're a religion.
Very much.
Wow.
Yeah, very much so for all of us, actually. It is a religion, isn't it, really?
It is.
Yeah. Arsenal, honestly, it just goes to show you people in England, they throw out the proper Arsenal statement, but there's no such thing as proper Arsenal. Everyone in the world can be a fan. It doesn't matter if you're 2 minutes away from the stadium or if you're however far Devon is from the stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm. About 4,000 miles.
There you go. And that too, what? Wow, a lot of people haven't seen something like that. I would bet you that must have took a long time for one sitting or like 3.
One sitting, absolutely one sitting. Did the outline, wanted to quit. Guy who was doing the tattoo said absolutely not. Shout out to Dave at Southern Star. And actually, I just recently got another tattoo from a Spurs fan. It was funny to watch my boy Eddie Stacey have to tattoo my back. So it was fun. Shout out to Eddie Stacey. If you're ever in Atlanta and you can get over to Ink and Dagger Tattoo, go visit my man.
Yeah, so the other day we met on the football terrace, and one of the comments they were just saying we smashed it at football terrace. Of course, our arguments were legit. We came prepared, and my boy Devo here, he comes prepared. He doesn't bring weak arguments. You get what I'm saying?
Not going to bring the nonsense, man. This is one thing that there's a lot of people that one thing I've learned in supporting the Prem is if you're going to get behind a team, get behind a team. Don't just jump on something because people are going to be real quick to say, I see it all the time around here, all the Man City supporters. It's oh, tell me about when you were in the 5th division, playing no-name clubs and tell me how, if it weren't for a sheikh in the Middle East saving you, that you would have been a nothing club. So it's funny. I wanted to study Arsenal when I fell in love with it. I wanted to learn everything that there was about it. So.
Okay, so let's just move on from there. I'm going to show everybody the topics. You brought up a sheikh, so good. That's a good segue into one of the topics that I was going to bring up today. So let me just tell everybody what we're going to bring up. So one of the topics we're going to be talking about is Newcastle, and it's going to be possibly being taken over. So how will that affect Arsenal? How will that affect the other top clubs in the top 6? Close your eyes, everybody. This might hurt, seeing this guy's face, but we're going to also be talking about Stan Kroenke and how he's actually putting money out of his pockets and investing it into the club. This is a rare situation where he's actually saying he's going to invest into the club. And also his son is also one of the guys that we're going to also be talking about and how much say he actually has. We're going to be talking about Lacazette and Aubameyang possibly leaving. We're going to be talking about Arteta, how much power he has at the club, how much they might actually back him. because he is taking a pay cut himself. And you can see Boateng in the picture. We're going to be talking about transfers, and Boateng is one of the guys that got brought up with a lot more players also being brought up. In addition to make Arsenal great again. How can we talk about how can we talk about trying to get Arsenal back to normal without the infamous MAGA hat as a joke? Anyways, so sorry to ruin everyone's mood. And yeah, just before we talk about anything else, I'm gonna have to bring this up one more time. We're gonna maybe talk about references to Arsene Wenger and Emery. So people be prepared for that too. So yeah, first topic, guys. I'm gonna jump right into it. How do we get Arsenal back to where we want them to be? How do we make Arsenal great again without trying to copy Trump's slogan here? What would you guys say? Because I could pull up the wage bill, I could pull up so many things for you guys, but what is your first thing that you would do as a if you were a person in the boardroom, a person making decisions, if you could change one feasible thing to begin with, what would it be? And Steve, I'm going to start with you because you haven't been able to say a lot yet. Steve, what would you change at the club?
So usual, innit? Me not saying nothing.
Yeah. Steve, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna give it to you. What are you thinking? What's your takeaway, and where do you think we can go from here?
Well, ideally, I mean, Kroenke would give us 500 million, and we'd go and win the UEFA Champions League and the Premiership next time we get going. But I think everybody's got to now come to the terms that we've got to go in a different direction. We've gone in the direction of buying the big players, the Sanchez's, the Ozils, the Aubameyangs, the Lacazettes, and it's just not working anymore, and it hasn't worked for the last 10 years. And I think we've got to go back to the way we used to in the. And I'm sorry to show my ages here, but Melvin will know where I'm coming from here. But I just think we've got to go back to the 80s and the 90s and start from there. I think we've got to start by getting some characters back into the side again, and not so much keep looking at the big, massive signings, because they don't work for us. I mean, in the 80s, 89 team, we didn't have the best side. And we went and won the title. Leicester, they was nowhere near the best side. They went and won the title, but they had characters. We've got to accept that the odd going and get the big superstar just doesn't work for Arsenal Football Club. We've got ourselves into a situation where we know he's not. Kroenke's going to give us £300-400 million. We used to have characters like Charlie Nicholas, Charlie Jules. I mean, even when the Invincibles, there was players that like Lauren, Lundberg, Vieira, Petit, Colatore, Lehmann, all of the Invincibles. Now, when they come into the sides and when they was bought, everyone was like, huh? Who were they? Yeah. But they become characters. They become great players in a team. So, of course. I just believe we've got to start there. We've got to go back to basics, forget the big players. We've got to concentrate on the kids we've got, because we've got some good kids, amalgamate the two together and go that way. Because buying the odd player, buying the odd 67 million, 70 million pound player is not going to work for Arsenal Football Club. We're too far gone. We're too far gone unless he's going to give us £500 million to spend, and that's never going to happen.
Okay, Steve. So that was definitely a good. Honestly, if they had people like you speaking to the board, it would knock some sense into them. Hopefully, right? Anyways, so I'm gonna move on to you, Devon, and then 1 second. Is it Devon?
It's Devon. It's Devon. It's Dev.
It's
like
Devon,
Dev.
Right?
Like it's like Kevin with a D.
Because
so.
I'm in the middle of saying devil, like Terry
good.
was saying the other day, and I don't want to.
Just don't call me late for dinner, man, and we're good to go. It's all good.
So it's Devon.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
so Devon, I'm going to ask you.
Go ahead.
What do you think is that one thing that you could probably bring to the board and tell them this is where we need to start from?
Well, the one thing, we did it already in bringing in Mikel Arteta. I think having an Arsenal man, having an identity, having a coach, having a manager, having somebody that's literally willing to stick in, that's learned from the best, that's won at the highest level. Having Mikel Arteta as the voice is so much better than having Unai Emery. And it's almost unfair to Emery to really say too much negative about him. I wasn't a huge fan of his style or his tactics or his anything about him, but he was the guy replacing the guy. Anybody who came in after Wenger was going to be extremely difficult to replace. So I think that Mikel Arteta is the first step of many. Steve said a lot of right things. We said it the other day on the Football Terrace. We have some great kids. Willock, Nelson, Emile Smith-Rowe, Bukayo Saka, Kieran Tierney. Let's start building those guys. Let's start coming up. Let's start with players that, like Kieran Tierney says, I didn't move to Arsenal to live in London. I moved to London to play for Arsenal. So let's find people that look at this badge right here and care more about this than the name on the back of the shirt. And to me, I think that the identity of Arsenal should be more than, hey, we're after this however many £1 million player. And I think that, scouting is where it's going to start. The academy is where it has to develop, and you'll see the results on the pitch.
Yeah. We just seen Sonny make an appearance out of nowhere.
Sonny!
If you're in the background, you can still come back. We miss you. Anyways, Melvin, I'm going to throw it to you. Just in case Sonny makes an appearance, don't be surprised. Sonny! He's here, people.
I was trying to get his green screen off. For some reason, I had the green screen on in the background. Dev, welcome to the channel, mate. It's really nice to see you. I'll let you guys go on the show. Let me listen to you. I'm here. I'm here. Come to me if you need me.
Right. You're asking
the voice of God in the background.
The producer behind the producer. Go, Melvin.
Right. I think that you mentioned Arteta. I think really for us to become a successful club in the short term and slightly long term is give him 100% control on who is bought. I don't want it to go through a committee that says 5 out of 7 like this player, so we'll have him. No, the buck's got to stop with Arteta. He's got to see. He's got to have the scouts got to bring him players that he might want to get. And he and only he should make that decision, because otherwise you get fractions, and that's no good. And also I was told that we used to speak to agents and say we're looking for a right back. Well, how rubbish is that? How small is that window? He's got to have the information from every footballer around the world that's decent, good enough for this club, and he's got to make a decision. Because and also, I don't want him to be given like a budget. I want the other way around. I want him to go to the ball and goes, right, these are 10 players. How many will you let me have? Because there were no restrictions at all. And then at least he can choose. If he can only have, say, 4 of them, I mean, we need 10. But if we only can get 4 or 5, then he chooses his best 4 or 5. Other than that, I mean, talking about what he's going to give the owner, I'm not too sure. I think he could still make a big excuse with what's going on with the virus and all that. That's my worry. But that's the short answer is give Arteta 100% choice and who is signed and who is sold.
So do you not feel comfortable with Edu being involved in that at all? No, sorry to interrupt.
No. Yeah, listen, I don't mind people getting involved. People can get involved all they like, but the last decision's got to be his. Okay. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. It's typical Arsenal though when they come out with a statement that Stan Kroenke is going to put a load of money in, but you don't know which area he's going to put the money into. There's always that question: is how much is he putting in? Where's he putting it in? Is it going to roll, or can he fold it? There's still all those questions with Arsenal.
And how much liquidity does he actually have with his clusterfuck situation in Los Angeles with this land deal for that stadium that was supposed to be 1.6 billion and now it's up over almost 3 billion. They're hemorrhaging money. So I wonder. Yeah, and the Rams, with the NFL talking about playing behind closed doors, it's like you're going to build this palace to football and then not be able to have anybody go into it. So I'm a little skeptical, like you said, as to where he's going to put that money. But I'm hopeful. I mean, his wife certainly has it. They certainly have the money.
And
his wife being Sarah Walton of
Walton
Walmart fame.
Walmart is making
Yeah,
millions off of this. The pandemic, all these grocery store owners, and basically a lot of businesses are going down, but there's a lot of businesses that are very fortunate off this because grocery stores are selling out every day. And before that, they weren't getting these kind of revenues. But besides all that,
over and above just the grocery stores, they own the distribution. They own the trucks. they own everything to get the stuff to their stores. So there is fun. There should be funds. There absolutely should be funds. And just like Josh Kroenke said, #be excited. I'm ready to be excited. If he's going to keep us, competitive like we know we need to be. Fenway Sports put money into Liverpool. Obviously, Sheikh Mansour put money into Man City. If you're going to be an owner, this self-sustaining model, especially right now during the middle of the pandemic, is just not realistic.
Well, Arsenal just showed. I mean, if there's any reason why the self-sustaining model doesn't work, this is it now.
This is it.
This is it. Just goes to show to anyone in football, self-sustaining models do not work in football.
Do you guys want to know something hilarious? There was one organization that was actually prepared for this pandemic more than everybody else. Wimbledon tennis tournament was prepared for this. They had an insurance policy where they got insured if a pandemic happened. After 2003, when swine flu happened, or SARS or whatever it was, they actually got $100 million protection. So Wimbledon, even though it will not be taking place in August, they will be receiving $100 million from their insurance company.
It's actually 141, and they paid £2 million a year. They pay £2 million a year. They've done it for 17 years, and if you do that math, they're coming out with $100 million profit. So it's a 141 million pound payout. They paid 34. They're going to walk with 107 million pounds. It's the risk of doing business.
I feel sorry for the person whoever underwrote that insurance policy. I feel sorry for them, and they've probably got the sack now.
Yeah,
I don't know how true it is, but I've been told their head office is in China.
For who?
Somebody's making money. Somebody's making money.
Yeah, so there's no point even bringing that up on the thing. But Sonny, I want to try to put a hat on you 1 second. If you had this hat on, what would you do with it?
Mate, Arsenal great again. It's not just about signing players who are good at football. They need to sign some characters. They need to actually sign some players with leadership quality now. In their position, they need to go and sign that guy, whether he's a left back, whether he's a right back, whether he's a CDM, whether he's a number 8. They need to sign that guy who says, this position is mine and no one's taking it.
Yeah.
Sonny, do you think we've done that at all? Like with a Bukayo Saka, with a Kieran Tierney, with the youth kids that are going to be coming in, and do we have that there now? Like I heard you just say left and right back. I think Tierney and Saka are our wing backs of the future. Yeah,
I just use that position just as an example. I think a Kieran Tierney could turn around and say to anybody who's challenging for that position, no, this position is damn mine. No one's taking it. Someone like Saka, Martinelli, they're good options on the left, but which character would you turn around and say, no, this position is mine, you're not taking it. I don't care if you're my teammate, I'm not going to be nice to you. This is my position, no one's taking it. I just want to see some really selfish footballers at Arsenal, some nasty characters like a Martin Keown and like a Tony Adams to say, you know what, over my dead body, you're going to get into my position. Everyone's just too nice to each other. Batman's giving Lacazette penalties to take. I just want that. I just want everyone to be selfish for their own position now.
Would you say like an Alexis Sanchez was the last person that we had that was like that?
Yeah, Alexis Sanchez. He just went a bit too far. He just thought he was the only player on the pitch when he was at Arsenal.
Guys, 1 second. I just want to read this out. Zane, thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Very good guy. You must have got a stimulus check because that's a generous donation. What do you call it? Sonny, Arsenal will become great when Kroenke leaves. We are a banter club at the moment. What do you think about that?
He's not leaving.
He's not leaving. He's not leaving. He's not leaving. And it's not. Them days are gone. Whoever's got the most money now as well, because the Man City's have got a lot of money. Liverpool got a lot of money. Newcastle going to have a lot of money. Spurs are going to have a lot of money in a couple of years. Everton's got a lot of money. So it's not just who's got the most money now. It's about that. It's about that winning formula. It's about who wants to win it most. And I just get the feeling that Arsenal is they don't want. They're just happy to be there. It's like an ugly girl at a party full of models. She's just happy to be there.
Kroenke's not changing anything, is he? Kroenke's not changing anything. He's not going to change the way he's been for the last 6, 7, 8 years. He's not going to be putting no more money in. He's not going to be changing what he's got to do with Arsenal. He's used Arsenal as just his piggy bank all this time. Nothing's ever changed. Why is it going to change next season or the season after? The only way that Kroenke, we can get Kroenke out, but like Devon said, he's going nowhere, is if we do something that's never going to happen. And that's if nobody goes to the games. And then that will hurt him. That'll hurt him in the pocket. But that's just something that's never going to happen, is it? There's always going to be people at football matches watching Arsenal.
You hit now and head until you get fans who don't accept mediocrity. That's what we're always going to get.
Let me try to be contrarian here, and let me try to support his case, because he might actually be onto something now. When Stan Kroenke has shown, Stan Kroenke is the kind of investor where when the prices are high, he doesn't touch it, but when the prices are low, he might put all his chips onto the table. He might be that kind of guy. And this is the opportunity where we can see that the prices are low, where he can go reach into his pocket and put us in a bigger advantage than other teams. This might be the opportunity that he's been waiting for, where everything seems more easy for him to come in and give us that boost that we've always needed.
So you're saying he's got that white knight? Like he's going to come riding in on his steed like a white knight with cash flush?
No, because he is an investor, right? He is an investor. And for him, when the markets are low, that's the best time for him to pump in more money.
Problem with that is you've got to love what you're doing. Because the thing is, he's got 6 franchises, and he can't love all of them, can he? He's only going to love the ones that are making the most money. So, if you compare this to a property crash, if you go and buy any bits of property, in 10 years' time it's going to increase. But with Arsenal, has he got that love for Arsenal to go and buy those 5 or 6 players that we actually need? He hasn't, has he?
He hasn't got no love. He never comes over to watch any games. He comes over to show his face in a cup final, and there's no love there at all. There's no love at all there for Arsenal. He doesn't put no money in. He never has done. So I just can't see how how he's ever going to change. He's never
I'm just going to jump in
football game in his life.
Steve, I'm just going to jump in quickly. Zane's here talking about Sonny. We might sign Jesse Lingard. What a disgrace! We are desperate. I actually can't believe any of that, because what we're in right now, I would consider worse than a transfer window, because there's nothing to talk about. The window's not open, but yet you hear everything about everything they would have talked about in the summer. So it just goes to show you, all that chat in the summer is a bunch of air filling.
Is signing Jesse Lingard a disgrace? Is it really? He's no better or any worse than what we've got already. He'll fit right in. He
would be blocking it. He'd be blocking a kid. The problem with having a Lingard is then an Emile Smith Rowe doesn't play. Then a Martinelli gets stunted. I don't need somebody else's cast. I don't need any more Man U cast-offs. I'm sorry. I don't want any more Man U cast-offs. I don't want Phil Jones. I don't want Chris Smalling. I didn't want David Luiz from Chelsea. I'm tired of these. I'm tired of them taking our best players and throwing us crap in return.
There would be riots if Lingard turned up at Arsenal. Absolute riots.
You're not lying.
Okay, guys. No. Stan Kroenke, he's doing something good. Do we, as fans, should we applaud him, or is this something he should be doing?
We don't know what he's doing yet. That's the whole thing. We don't know what he's doing yet.
He ain't done nothing.
What's he done?
Okay, he's saying he's going to pump in money into the club, enough money where the club will not only be coming out of this perfectly fine, but maybe even in a better place.
Well, if it means
they're talking upwards of tens of millions.
If it means that employees don't get furloughed, and that match day staff isn't affected, and that wages are paid, and if that's what it is, and Arsenal aren't the shit down the road furloughing people, then I'm all for it. Do I expect him to come in and give us a transfer kitty on par with Sheikh Mansour? No. Do I expect one big signing? Sure. It'd be nice to have Thomas Partey. It'd be great. I'd love to see it. But like we've all said here, we need 2 center backs. We need a spine, and we need players that identify with Arsenal and the character of the club, not necessarily just, hey, that guy cost 75 million.
Can I ask you guys a question a minute? Can I ask you guys a question? If Arsenal did furlough their staff, right, and it meant we had a bigger transfer budget in the summer, would you be against it? I wouldn't, because the staff will still get their money. The staff will still get their money. And, regardless of whether the government paid them or Arsenal paid them, and Arsenal go and sign some players. But personally speaking, I wouldn't care less.
No, I wouldn't care less. I mean, we're talking about, we care about Arsenal Football Club, as horrible as it sounds. So if we've got more money, then for me, great.
I mean, I don't really care about the person who works in it. I don't really care about the person who works in the armory. I don't really care about the person who sells the programs. I don't care about the person who gives you the hot dogs. I don't care about the person who gives you the phone.
Sonny, the club is a classy club. The club is the club has class compared to other clubs. We are the first club to agree a player decrease of wage cut from all the Premier League clubs. Arsene Wenger
used to be kid.
Okay, so you're saying forget about class. You're saying forget about everything, just be cutthroat.
Listen, the only thing I care about is what goes on the football pitch. Nothing else to do with Arsenal. I don't care. I don't care whether they use the cheapest toilet paper you can find to wipe your bum with in the ground. The only thing I care about is what goes on the football pitch. Because as Arsenal supporters, that's the only thing what should matter.
Sonny, I draw the line. I gotta have that 2-ply, man. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that single sheet. That's brutal. That's some brutal shit right there, man.
Guys, remember that Tottenham toilet paper is around.
But when it comes down to it, like we said all along, if it's money to make us competitive, it has to be substantial. But then again, it has to be spent properly. It has to be spent on players that have contracts that we can sign, have wages that aren't going to cripple us. And it has to be people that have a long-term projection to be at the club 5 to 7 seasons, which in modern football is rare. And that's why when we get into the Aubameyang conversation coming up, like we need to look at everything with a future projection, not necessarily, what do we do in the immediacy? Because in the immediacy, we're stuck in this, it's almost like a purgatory, of we've got clubs above us that have done so much, like Liverpool. Look at how Liverpool spent by selling Coutinho. They brought in Becker. They brought in Sadio Mane for 30 million. I mean, come on, like that guy is the biggest bargain in the Prem, and he should go to Real Madrid. Liverpool has spent smart, whereas Man City has just spent. You know what I mean? Manchester United has just spent. So, I would rather do things like what, and this is probably going to get me killed in the chat. I'd rather do what Leicester did and build a team with a bunch of guys that play for the badge.
But characters. A bunch of characters that are playing together as a team, get them together, and you can see what happened.
Well, there lies Arsenal's problem. It's because the better players, to attract the Aubameyangs and Lacazettes, they have to give them over the top deals for the players that they are, and to keep the Ozil, because the rest of the team is not. They've got no uniformity amongst in their pay structure. You've got a Martinelli who's on next to nothing. You've got a Saka who's on £3,000 a week, who's playing their first team football. They're either going too far in one aspect because they can't attract top players, and the rest of the squad they're paying. They're not paying. It's all over the place. They're
all on an even keel. They're all on an even keel, Leicester.
You're right. And I have the wages ready for you guys.
We used to have that. We used to have that under Wenger, where it was like that salary structure, where whether it was Koscielny or whether it was somebody coming up out of the youth academy, like nothing was ever so skewed. And everybody knows I love Mesut Ozil for the person that he is, but his salary is a detriment. It's punishing the club because every single top player will look at what he's making and go, well, I'm worth that, if not more. If I'm Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and I'm the only reason why your goal differential isn't completely underwater, why am I not making what Mesut Ozil's making? I'm making half of what Mesut Ozil's making.
It was why Ramsey left. It was why Ramsey left.
You have Mesut Ozil on 350. Then you got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, David Luiz, Bellerin, Said Kolasinac, Leno, Xhaka. All of them are on 100K plus a week. Two of them being over 200K plus.
And two of them are worth it. Two of them.
Yeah, but the thing is, if I'm a Lucas Torreira on £75,000 a week, and I'm looking at an Ozil on £350 a week, surely when you're driving home out of Colney, you think, how's he on £350 a week? I'm only on 75. Mm-hmm. It's got to come into it.
Of everybody that you listed that's on over 100K, Bernd Leno and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang are the only ones that have performed up to that contract this season for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Without
yeah,
Leno,
agree, yeah.
without Leno, we're in relegation. Without Aubameyang, we're in relegation.
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
But you know what? It gets worse. Look at the second tier underneath the 100K. You got 92 Mustafi. Then you got 92 Socrates. Then Mustafi. Then Torreira 75. Then Danny Ceballos on loan. We're still paying him more than Callum Chambers and Guendouzi. And then you got Ainsley Maitland-Niles making 35. Rob Holding injured the whole season, making 25. And embarrassingly, you got Mavropanos on the same wages as Rob Holding. And Saka's making 3,000. No wonder the kid doesn't want to sign his contract yet, because he sees
nobody expected him to be where nobody expected Bukayo Saka to be seeing first 2 minutes, and the fact that he's up is a damning notion on Arsenal's. You know, the fact that you're paying Kolasinac as much as you are to be overtaken by an 18-year-old kid, you know, is damning of the scouting of that player. You know, so. When you look at the wage bill, yes, we're extremely top heavy, and that has to change. And I believe that it will. I believe that Arteta has pretty much come in and said, we're going to cut bait on a lot of you. We're going to sell a lot of you. There has to be a clear out. And this is something that we do. You know, I'm a big supporter of Atlanta United and MLS. You can't get attached to players. If you love the club, if you love the badge, then you love the badge and you love the club through everything. If you get attached to a player, then you're a fanboy. And that's you know, go follow that player. Go
100%.
You know what?
Simon has been out of commission. We need him back ASAP. Go ahead.
What is also poor? It's not just how much wages we pay these players, which is far too much. Like Sonny said, we would like to entice them, and we've got to pay them over the top. Is that we make bad signings? I mean, so many that I can think of half a dozen signings the last couple of years that are useless, not use to anybody, and yet we're using them because they're the benchmark at the moment. I can't think of a player Liverpool signed the last 4 years that's been a flop. Can you? Either of you? I can't.
Coutinho.
He wasn't a flop.
180 million. That's
Wait, are you talking about Barcelona?
Yeah, no, he's a flop who's got an asset of 180 million. We haven't got no assets like that, have we? That's our problem. We have to sell 5 players before we can get to a Coutinho. You know, where Liverpool had 1 player, got rid of him, got 4 in, won the title, will win the title, and won the Champions League.
But they spent well. I mean, look at Alexander Arnold from their academy. Look at Robertson from Hull. You know, that was what how much Robertson cost them? Like 8 million. You know, and then again, like I said, Sadio Mane was from Southampton was a steal. Virgil van Dijk was expensive, but I mean, think about how many times we were linked to him. We could have purchased him when he was at Celtic. We could have purchased him when he was at Southampton. You know, we have dithered away the opportunity to sign some players. I read today that that Jamie Vardy had agreed to everything, was sitting on the couch with Wenger, and then basically heard the vision of the club and went, "Nah, I'll pass." You know, and stayed at Leicester. You got clubs like Wolves that are bringing in, Jota and Neves and Jimenez and all these other players that, like, they should be at Arsenal. Like we need to get back to being what Arsenal is and was. We're the 9th largest club in the world. We've got cash reserves to go out and buy players. We need to start acting like a big club again. But all of that comes from recruitment. All of that comes from building up your academy and this top heavy buying style of that's why I was so concerned about Sanehi, because all he ever did was at Barcelona was just buy big names, and when you have that bank, you can do that.
Well, the thing is, another place where they've done an own goal is they got Sven Misseltat in, and everyone thought, yeah, he's going to bring in all the youth, he's going to bring he's going to spot the best young players from around Europe. Then all of a sudden, he was gone. And it's like they haven't got it right at the top, have they? It's a power struggle at the top. They've never got it right, and all it's done is made the recruitment on the pitch look even worse.
If things carry on like they are, and I hope they don't, that we'll see a change. I reckon we're going to sign Van Dijk when he's 33. I really do, alone.
Off 2 knee surgeries, right?
Yeah, we'll probably do that. Yeah,
guys, I'm going to do this quickly. right? I'm gonna ask you guys a name. I just want to sell or keep. Okay, I'm gonna name a bunch of players. Aubameyang, sell, keep. What do you guys say?
Sell high.
Sell.
Steve.
Keep.
Steve. Okay.
Keep.
One keep. The rest all sell. Okay?
One caveat with Aubameyang: anything less than 50 million, they might as well just keep him and let him go.
Okay. Mezzo Ozil, I'm gonna change it. I'm not gonna say sell or keep. I'm gonna say let his contract run down, or what do you call it? Really try to get rid of him for nothing.
Cut it. Yeah, cut it. I say cut it.
Run it down.
Yeah.
Run it down.
Run it down.
It's only another season and a half.
Mate, to be honest with you, I try and do what Emery done to him last season. Or it was this season, wasn't it? Just don't play the bloke until he gets to don't like it no more. Get rid of him.
Okay. Guys in the comment section, also let us know what you think, sell or keep. Next name on the list, Lacazette. Do you have an option to get rid of him to Atletico Madrid in a swap deal, or try to sell him or keep him?
Give me Thomas Partey all day long.
Swap deal. Okay.
Yeah. Sell.
Sonny?
Yeah.
Same.
Okay. Everyone's pretty much saying goodbye to Lacazette.
You have your next striker already in the club. You have your next striker already in the club, and he's Brazilian.
Okay, Nicolas Pepe.
He wants to play at one up front anyway. He only wants to play one up front. He was at City. They only play one up front. He only wants to play one up front. So he's like, no point playing him.
I think Arteta could turn him into the next Aguero, and I know that's very high praise, but Gabriel Martinelli's got that killer instinct.
That's high praise. I like that.
Future,
I'm gonna say this one quickly, guys. Refund on Pepe. Or you think he's going to be, or keep him and hopefully he becomes good? Which one?
Pepe
I think you get a refund.
Pepe could become whatever Pepe wants to be.
It's a hypothetical.
So basically, it's up to Pepe. I'll keep him, but it's up to Pepe.
Pepe is going to be a monster. It's the adjustment to the Premier League is one of the most difficult. It doesn't matter how good you were in any other league. The Premier League is the most difficult, most physical league in the entire world on planet Earth. And you got to give the guy time. His stats are not as bad. You got to understand he played half the season under Unai Emery, who was a clown show. You know what I mean? And he came fresh off an AFCON. Yeah. You know, like give the guy a minute. Give the guy a minute to adjust. We started to see what he could do under Arteta. Put him on the right. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, I agree with Sonny.
Go ahead, Steve.
I agree with Sonny. Pepe can be anything he wants to be. We all know our football. We see what he can do in games. He can be whatever he wants to be. He can be a superstar if he wants, or he can be a total flop. But at the moment, definitely keep him.
Okay, Melvin.
I think if we can get our liability back, sell him, but only if that money's channeled into a defensive midfielder.
Can I just touch on one point? Dev, was it you who said would you have had, or was it not when I was watching the show the other day? Pepe for 72 or Almiron for 21?
Yes.
I would have taken Almiron all day long.
Thank you.
All day long. All day long.
Thank you. Because, and see, I've said the whole thing. Everybody says, Almiron for Newcastle, there's no pressure. I watched that guy destroy, and granted, MLS is a lower level. I watched him destroy, and I have watched him run his legs off.
Tell me the class. That kid is class. That kid is class. He's no better end product than he's no worse end product than Pepe. And bang on what you said, and we're still about 50 million in the bank to go and buy that whole centre mid that we needed.
I'd go buy him for 40 right now.
You're bang on. As soon as you said that, I was like, thank God there's someone out there who actually.
Guys, I have a better name for you, Jota from Wolves. I'd rather get him because he could play on the left and he could play as a striker. He's a good option. Yeah, and I would say he's better than Almiron.
Like, can you imagine Jota up front? Can you imagine Almiron as your attacking midfielder?
If Almiron was brought in to replace Mesut Ozil, we would be infinitely better because you'd have.
I agree.
You'd have a 10 that actually runs his legs off.
Another player Arsenal couldn't afford.
Okay, I'm going to say this right here. Vegas Gunner, guys. One second, Steve. Vegas Gunner said, great show, guys. Comparing the wage bill to Wolves and Leicester, it's shocking and it's embarrassing. Honestly, he's right. Let's be honest, guys. Vegas Gunner's right. When you look at our wage bill compared to these other teams that are outperforming us, it's shocking.
Well, Leicester won the league title more recently than we have.
Johnny Evans and Wes Morgan.
Yeah.
But Robert Huth.
Those those teams are better teams than us. We have to admit it. Wolves and Leicester have got better players than us. They're better than us.
We're ninth in the league, and that's our position. That is our realistic position. We're ninth.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we belong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we pay the fourth highest wage bill.
Yeah.
That's just bad contracts.
When you give players like El Neni 60, 70, 80 grand a week, then says it all.
And then he's better than Guendouzi and Xhaka in some people's opinion.
According to Gilberto, he was the next Patrick Vieira.
Yeah. Let's touch on this actually. Neni, what do you guys think? He wasn't given a chance, or do you think we should give him a chance next year? Hopefully.
Who's been talking about?
He's great. He looks great at Besiktas. He looks great at Besiktas because Besiktas is in the Turkish league. I mean, it's like it was early mentioned on about Ramsey. What has Ramsey done at Juventus this season? Nothing. Nothing.
What did he do at Arsenal though?
He scored some big goals and big. He had a lot of injured hamstrings.
One in 10 years he done.
I just think that we have remembering the remembrance of him in 2014 scoring the goal to break our trophy drought, and that's the thing is people get nostalgic, and you can't get attached to players if you love the club. Very few players will ever be legends, and even the legends leave. Everybody forgets Thierry Henry did not retire at Arsenal. He left us and went to another club because he said he wanted to win the Champions League. So there's this identity that has to come with the players that we bring in, and it's got to be club wide. It can't be, we need to go get this guy because this guy's going to save us. That's such a loser's mentality in my mind. People need to want to be, like I said, they need to want to be at Arsenal, not the other way around.
Yeah,
that's why you got to pay these players extra.
Talking about extra, we're being held for ransom. I don't know about paying them extra. What do you call it? Okay, I'm gonna keep this one quick because it's difficult to do this by each player. Our defense. Let's do it as a unit. Our whole entire defense, every single defender. Name the players you would keep from that group because it's hard to say how many players.
Only one.
Two.
One. Tierney, and that's it.
Saka is not part of the defense. He's not a part of the defense. Don't count him, please.
Only Tierney.
Count him as an attacker, please. Because I think he's going to move into the attacking role.
Then Kieran Tierney. Yeah. There's no reason to keep any Kira Urabchim players. There's no reason to keep any Mendes players. Get rid of Socrates, he's 30 plus. Get rid of Luiz, he shouldn't be here in the first place. Holding, I'm not sure if he'll ever be back. I told you the other day he wasn't listed in the chat. I think Hector Bellerin is one of the most overrated players in the Premier League. If Barcelona wants to come in with a bid, please come get him. You know what I mean?
I don't think they will.
No love lost here by Stephen Sunny by Bellerin.
Barcelona will go nowhere near Bellerin. Nowhere near.
They would do a swap deal tomorrow. That ship
sailed a long time ago.
No one wants Bellerin. He's just gone backwards.
Arsenal still looking at Danny Alves. Never mind Bellerin. Arsenal still looking at Danny Alves.
I'd rather have Maitland-Niles instead of Bellerin, and I seriously would have Maitland-Niles in front of Bellerin. He'd done nothing wrong, and Bellerin came in.
I won't go that far, Steve. I won't go that far.
Maitland-Niles just needs to stop talking. If he's getting pitch time, he needs to say, "Hey, I'm happy to be on the pitch." He doesn't need to be saying, "I'm not a defender. I'm a central mid."
Let's not forget how shit Maitland-Niles is, please. Forget his shit.
No, I mean it was tongue in cheek. It's tongue in cheek, but he was certainly better than what Bellerin's been since he came in.
He had a few good games. That's better. That's his Arsenal career.
Okay, Melvin, what do you think about the defenders? Because everyone said their say.
I think just Tierney, and when it comes to Maitland-Niles, really, when he had a couple of good games near the end before Bellerin came back, he only looked good because he was so poor before. Had he played like that the whole time, we wouldn't have said he was a good player. But when he had some shockers. He was giving the ball away. He's out of position. He was losing concentration, which is not great for a defender, really. So he hasn't got. To me, doesn't. I'm sure he might do, but doesn't take it as seriously as I would love an Arsenal footballer to take the game. I don't think he would kill for Arsenal. I mean, what done it for me when he got sent off against Leicester and he shook the geezer's hand, who's got him sent off
when he knew that he didn't even touch him.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. What's all that about?
Whereas a couple of years ago, Gabriel would have punched Costa in the face if he hadn't been held back. That's the defender that I want.
I would have studied him in the face. I would have studied him in the face and got sent off for a reason.
Yep. Now,
guys.
real quick,
Please,
on
no
defenders.
violence.
On defenders, are we counting goalkeepers? Because it goes without saying
No,
that
no,
Bernd Leno would be a keep
no.
all day long.
We're keeping both the keepers, honestly, because we can't get a better discount second goalkeeper than what we have right now.
I would keep Macy over Martinez. I'd keep Matt Macy over Martinez.
Bernd Leno is a second choice goalkeeper playing in first choice position.
I'll tell you what I would do, though. I'll tell you what I would do, though.
Wow.
If someone give me the choice, if someone give me the choice of changing their whole midfield free and keep our defenders, I'd take it.
When you done the overrated show the other day, I think Bernd Leno's so overrated. I think he's so overrated.
Really?
The guy just got, how many times he puts into trouble with his feet? You know, we should slaughter Petr Cech for that. And Leno is just as bad with his feet.
Would you do this? Take Sheffield United goalkeeper and get rid of Leno?
All day long. All day long.
I think you guys are over exaggerating a little bit.
No.
Don't underappreciate what you have, because he's a good player and he's carried us.
I don't think we need to go sign another keeper. I think Matt Macy's going to be the one that's going to come up. And, you know, again, this is the academy mentality. If you've got Emi Martinez, if you've got Matt Macy, if you've got Bernd Leno, then I think we're set at that position, and we should promote from within.
There's a goalkeeper at Arsenal that no one talks about, right? That Gunnosaurus, when them junior gunners shooting before the game starts, in that suit, he still gets down to his left and starts flicking around the post.
Is that uniform league standard? Will we be able to get away with that?
Guys,
but move on to the midfield.
I'm gonna move on to midfield, but before I move on to midfield, I'm gonna say something controversial here that you guys all might disagree with. I'm keeping Bellerin. I'm keeping Tierney. Yeah. I'm keeping David Luiz for the remainder of his contract.
You lost me.
For the remainder of his contract. Because you need squad, but you need a squad, right?
That's what, just this season? He only signed a 1-year deal.
He has 2-year deal. What are you talking about?
It's one with a one. I thought it was a team option.
Oh no, it doesn't work. It's not like that, but it's literally 2 years.
To be fair, he's the only leader we have. He's the only leader we have at the moment.
He signed in for 2 years.
The only leader
I'm keeping him. I'm keeping Holding in for at least another year, right? Nice. If I want, I can sell him in January once he's gotten some game time, because you can't get nothing for him right now. I'm keeping Chambers as a handyman because he plays every position. You need a handyman like James Milner. And then from that defense, are we signing Suarez? Are we signing
Mari?
Are we signing Pablo Mari? To me, we can take those guys as cheap options that are not risks at all, because we were getting Suarez on a free transfer, and we're getting Pablo Mari on $5 million.
Mate,
those two options are squad options. They're not first options.
If they're not good enough, then they are a risk. If they're not good enough, then they should be there.
I was at that West Ham game. That was probably one of the best center half performances that I've seen all season. From Pablo Mari.
I like Mari. I just need to see more.
I haven't seen it.
I just haven't seen enough. Yeah, I haven't seen enough.
Melvin, you were at the game also. Pablo Mari, did he impress you that game?
He made one. Listen, he was good, but he made one diabolical decision in the first half where the centre forward scooted past and West Ham should have scored. But apart from that, he looked comfortable on the ball, but he wasn't really tested against West Ham.
It's too slow for the Premier League, Melvin. It's too slow for the Premier League.
It could be. We haven't seen
but
enough of him.
He's physically
if you're talking about keeping Chambers and keeping Holding, right? I'd say to you, if they were playing for another team, would you go out and buy him for next year?
No.
Exactly.
They haven't played for us yet recently. They haven't played for us. And don't forget, there's a quota in the Premier League. There's an academy quota, and Holding and Chambers count towards that quota. You technically need that.
I'd rather play with the reserve than those two. I don't care.
Zach Medley's not ready.
We've got 8
centre-halves. Zach Medley.
He's not ready.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Listen, they've had long enough. They've had long enough to cement the place, and they haven't.
Yeah.
Chambers was arguably one of our best players in the first half of the season, guys.
But Chambers, again, like you said, he's injury prone. Yeah. And he's also another player that again, you're shoehorning into a center back position or a right back position or a CD. Like, what is he? I want a guy that comes in like Vieira, and you know what his position is, and he's the first name on the team sheet every week. Like, I don't want a player coming in going, well, am I the right back? Yeah. Am I a center back? Am I a center defensive? What am I playing this week? I want guys that come in and go, that's my spot. Get the fuck out of my way.
Okay, guys.
Didn't it show you how
Everyone in the
desperate we
comment
are?
section
We
calling
must
me
be so
Crusty the
desperate.
Clown. It's okay.
Oh, you got-
I don't care.
Hold on,
Anyway.
Steve. What were you saying, Steve?
Steve?
The way we're talking just shows how desperate we are with the players that we would keep and who we wouldn't keep. You know,
Yeah.
You know what
the
it like.
players you're saying that we would keep. I'd keep him. I'd keep Louise. I'd keep Chambers. I'd keep Holding.
You know
That's
what it
how
like.
desperate we are. We got to keep these.
You know when you go to a new country for the first time and you're driving that left-hand drive car in the opposite lane. That's what Arsenal's defence is like.
Exactly.
You come to, you have so many near misses until you realise that which way it is to drive. That's Arsenal's defence.
I would
Okay,
cut bait
so
on
we're
so
gonna-
much. I would go sign Lewis Dunk. I would go sign Jonathan Tah, and I'd go sign Dan Axel Zagadou, and I'd call it a day.
Okay.
Go and tell him. Go and tell Kroenke.
You know
That's
what
what
we
we
need?
want.
We need you running the club, man. What do you call it? If
I'm here.
the fans were running the club, if there was actual people in the board that actually supported Arsenal since childhood, there would probably be more connection to the fan base. Because I don't know about you guys, but I watched that Sunderland documentary, and those new guys running Sunderland, they really care, and you can see it through the documentary.
Yeah.
And then
Where'd
they
that get
sold. And then
We're
they
forgetting the-
sold.
Exactly.
And then they sold what?
The owner, the guy who cared so much, was losing so much money and was having so many heart chest palpitations, that he sold the club at the end of the season after they weren't promoted because he couldn't afford another £35 million loss.
Yeah.
It's just
We're
depressing.
forgetting about Saliba, haven't we? No one's mentioned Saliba. He'll be back next season.
I just
Does
don't
he
know enough.
start?
Yeah, he has
Does he
to.
come in and start? Does he
He
come
has
in
to.
and start?
He has to. If his knees are right, that's the main concern that I had with sending him back to Saint Etienne was the fact he got hurt. He got
Big up, JR. Big up, JR.
You know? Oh yeah. Shout out JR. He got seriously injured,
Oh man, JR knows. JR, you know my quote. Why are you asking? Anyways, I always say the same thing. The academy kids, they're gonna give you a 4 out of 10, they're gonna give you a 7 out of 10, they're gonna give you an 8 out of 10, but they're not always gonna give you an 8 out of 10. You have to understand that sometimes they're gonna play shit, sometimes they're gonna play good, and at the end of the day, they're never gonna be consistent. Those are the academy kids.
Having said that, the ones who are not the academy kids, we know they're never going to give us 8 out of 10 either. They're always going to give us 6.
To be fair, Chambers gave us one 10 out of 10 performance where he got a hat trick of assists this season.
That's Chambers.
Chambers gave us a 10. Chambers gave us a 10-star rating this year on Who Scores, one of those rating sites for footballers. He gave us one of the highest ratings of the season when he got a hat trick of assists.
Are you his agent?
Again, you can't have one good game in the season. You can't have one good game in the season and get a 5-year contract on the back of it.
Unless you're with Arsenal. Unless you play for the Arsenal. You're probably doing
I
that.
don't know, man. That Ludogorets game still has me going crazy for Uzo.
I just remember at one point in the season we were 6, 13, and 6. So nothing was great. You know what I mean?
Okay, guys, I get it. We're gonna move on to midfield. Just name players that you'd keep. There's no more point of mentioning the people you'd sell.
Can't think of one.
Midfield. Who are you keeping?
I can't think of one. Honestly,
Willock,
I cannot think of a player
one
to keep.
player-
Willock,
No.
Nelson,
No.
Nelson.
Emil
No,
Smith Rowe.
forward.
Emil Smith Rowe.
That's the one. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mate,
he hasn't started.
yeah.
I've got to give him a chance.
Kids. If people are telling me that Matteo Guendouzi is going to be one of the most expensive mids in the world and people are willing to bid 40 and 50 million for him, please come get Sideshow Bob Jr. Come take it.
Yeah. Thank you, Devon. Thank God for that. Man,
Is anyone keeping Torreira?
Yeah, he's not gonna.
He wants
he's
to
not going
leave. Torreira wants to go back to Italy. Like, I don't understand why this is not an issue. This is not us. Like, Torreira is a great player. He's just been played out of position. But how many times have you heard that he has not adjusted well and he wants to leave? Like, I don't want players at Arsenal that don't want to be at Arsenal. And if every week I'm reading that you want to leave and that you're unsettled and that the team is having to basically have counseling sessions with you, then get the F out, please, and let us recoup some money and go get a player that wants to be here. You know, like like I said in the chat, if there's one name in the Prem right now that if I could swap out Granit Xhaka for, I'd go get Abdoulaye Doucouré from Watford tomorrow. I'd spend 30 million pounds, and I'd still have money to spend on the next player. I'd go get Lewis Dunk to replace Socrates. You know, there's players at smaller clubs that we could go get that I'm tired of hearing, oh, they're not Arsenal quality. Well, what is Arsenal quality right now? You know, like we need to say again.
Lucas Perez, apparently.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it was Andre Santos, and keep in mind, everybody forgets in the year that we got beat 8-2 by Manchester United, we started a back line with Yassine Traore, Johan Giroud, Carl Jenkinson, and Laurent Koscielny, and we still made Champions League that season because players had mentality and could rally around a manager that they believed in. And what have we done since?
Yeah, Shamak was up front.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it can be done with lesser known players that buy in to a system, that buy into a manager, and that play for the badge. That's all. I don't give a shit about what your name is or what you've done at other clubs. If you're not going to come in and bleed for Arsenal, then get the fuck out or don't even come in the first place.
Yeah. No one in that midfield is more than 5 out of 10. You know.
Okay, I'm going to start by, guys, I'm going to go to this transfers. Would you take this guy on a free?
Yeah.
On a free, yes.
All day long. All day long.
Would he start in our team tomorrow? If the same team we have right now, would he start?
Yes, he would.
Yes.
Melvin?
Definitely, yes. Actually, I said last season before we bought Pepe, I'd take him.
Devon?
I mean, I think it again. Like there was a comment. I forget who it was, but nobody walks into the club and is an immediate starter. But I definitely think he would battle for a starting position. Absolutely.
Okay, so all you guys are pretty much just you're taking him. You're like, he's coming into the club. You're like, he's perfect.
Yeah,
you guys think we need a Mark Noble type guy? One of our comments just said we need a player like Mark Noble.
No. But the most important thing about having Ryan Fraser on that left with Tierney is that they both will understand what each other's saying because no one else will be able to. They'll be Scottish, so that'll help.
I think he'd give us what he'd do. He'd give us energy, which we haven't got a lot of in our team. He'd give us energy up front. He can actually score a couple of goals. He can make goals, and he's quite a tough little nut, which we haven't got a load of those either. He'd definitely be an improvement on what we got. When you say we're saying he's perfect. No, he's not perfect. But he's a lot better than what we've got.
Okay, you guys can see this. Devon, you had some information about this. Do you want to let the people know what you're hearing?
Yeah, I've got a couple of friends that are close with this camp, and Layvin Kurzawa from PSG is rumored to be coming. He's been rumored for a while. Defender, falling on some injuries at PSG, and has had a couple of dumb moments that have not really endeared him to the fans. But he's a talented player. It's another potential French league signing that always makes me very wary. But I do have a couple of friends that are friends of his that say that he's looking at places in London. So, you never really know what's true and what's not. But, I mean, Layvin Kurzawa could potentially be a signing for Arsenal.
Can I just say, is that the left back that you're talking about? Is he left back? Mm-hmm. Sticking with the rest, we'll have about 8 centre halves and 4 left backs.
Exactly. And nobody on the right side.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, Sonny, what do you think about the Kurzawa situation?
He's got to be an upgrade.
You might be putting him on a free.
He's got to be an upgrade on Kolasinac, but I won't go and give him 180 grand a week.
Okay.
I think a lot of people that play FIFA and see him rated as highly as he is on FIFA are going to go, "Oh, you got to get him." And that's the problem with the mentality is so many people are like Xbox players or PS4 players that sit back and they go, "Oh, well, he's an 86 on FIFA, so I bet you he'd be great for Arsenal." And that's just not the case. That's why I think Kurzawa has had some issues at bigger clubs, but he was good when he played in a smaller side like Monaco.
You should be good with us, and we're a small side.
Okay. Talking about small sides, we're going to move on to a big issue that might be going on in the Premier League. There's a takeover happening. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but this is Newcastle. This is the owner. This could be the possible new owner for Newcastle United while their takeover is currently taking place. I'm going to be pulling up the article for Newcastle's takeover right now as we speak. 1 second. As I do that, and what I got to tell you guys is this guy right here. They're saying he could be taking over. He could be taking over Newcastle soon. And if he does take over Newcastle, he'd be willing to actually drop big money for his first signing to be none other than Antoine Griezmann. They're saying they're willing to outlay 107 million on Antoine Griezmann as their first signing at Newcastle United after they do this takeover. Like this right here, the stuff that we're hearing, they're saying 170 million they're willing to spend on their first signing once they get this takeover done. What do you guys any input or anything you guys have to say about this?
Obviously, he don't know where Newcastle is in, does he? Because Antoine Griezmann would never ever go to Newcastle. Doesn't matter. It doesn't. Players do not go and play in the northeast.
Yeah,
so,
come on, man.
It's the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund. It's bluster. I mean, it was the same thing that was supposed to happen last year. Granted, they may have increased their bid. I think anything that gets Mike Ashley out of the Premier League is a good thing. But I think it's unrealistic to think that, I've seen Kylian Mbappe links. I've seen, like you just said, Antoine Griezmann. Like nobody's leaving Barcelona for Newcastle.
No
It's
chance.
just not going to
No chance.
happen. Nobody's leaving Paris for the northeast of England. It's just not going to happen. Now, could he go out and spend on some players with Premier League experience that could take them to a Europa League spot or a Champions League spot? Possibly. I mean, look at Wolves. Wolves basically did it with Mendes money. So it's possible. It's definitely possible. But it's I'll believe it when I see it. I've heard this I've heard this buyout takeover thing, and Ashley somehow finds a way to screw up the deal every year, and the Geordies get stuck with him. So I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay, so apparently everyone's just kind of saying they'll believe it when they see it. I'm telling you right now, we should be worried in a certain extent, because when it comes to the club, we've been falling down the pecking order in the Premier League for the past couple of seasons, right? And as we're falling down the pecking order, if there's more people joining that party, like the Wolves, you got Leicester, now you got Newcastle joining the party, we're gonna have an issue with all these clubs joining the party, and we're gonna be falling behind. Because if we got Newcastle United now that's also gonna join the party, and we also have to worry about other clubs that are coming on the up, like Wolves, like Sheffield United right now even are playing well. Everton is never stopping from investing. No one's stopping them from investing funds. So as long as all these clubs keep investing funds, we have to start worrying for Arsenal's well-being.
Yeah, but you're missing the point. You're missing the point. I know what you're going to say. All these big owners are going to start pumping money in, and Arsenal will fall down the pecking order. We've already fell down the pecking order. It doesn't matter what they pump in. We're ninth for a reason. We fell down the pecking order already.
And we need to be the team that does the shit that Liverpool does. We need to go find the Sadio Manes that we can then turn around. We need to spend 30 million on a player that we can turn around and sell for 100, not the other way around. We're not bring in a 100 million pound player that we then run down to 18 months on a contract and sell on the cheap, to a rival. That's gotta stop. We've got to build from within.
So Newcastle doesn't scare you, Sonny? What scares you is the situation we're already in?
We need to get our own house in order, not worry about what everyone else is doing. Because that's our trouble. Arsenal always looks for other teams to bail them out by being bad. But if it was good, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter what they are.
True.
I do like that mentality. Like, focus on what we do, not what other teams do. Like, we need to get 3 points week in and week out, not worry about what other teams are doing to keep us in a top four chase.
Yeah, I mean, look at last season. We was always concentrating on what the other teams were doing. They gave us a way in. Same again this season. Other teams are slipping and sliding. They gave us a peak. But if we just concentrate on what we're doing and was good, it won't matter what anyone else is doing.
Leah's smart. It's not about spending money. It's about how you spend it. Martinelli was cheap. I mean, it's a gym that we found, and that's smart because, like you said, Martinelli didn't cost us anything. Versus what his return is. And on the other side, you've got Pepe, who cost 9 times as much as he did and took a while to adjust. But everybody only looks at the price tag; they don't look at the stats. So if we can change the mentality, and granted, that's just the world mentality of football. We talked about this with Terry the other day, kid. Louis Figo was the world record transfer fee a few years back at 35 million pounds. What would Louis Figo in his prime cost today?
a lot.
Yeah, but the thing is that the Martinelli's a one-off. You know, to find a piece of gold when you're searching for gold, you're gonna find a lot of stones first. So we need to build that. We need to bake that cake first. Once we've got the cake, then you put decorations on it. You know, then you put the whipped cream on it. Then you put the hundreds of thousands on it. After we haven't even baked the cake.
Okay.
Or we're baking it with rotten eggs.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna let Steve jump in. He had a point he wanted to make.
We've got to have. Arteta's got to come in, and he's got to have a structure when he comes in, and we're hoping that he has that. We've got to stay away. I've already said from the 60, 70 million pound players. We've got to look around what Devon's already said. Find some good 30 million pound players, build them through around the youth, build it up. It's going to take us a long while. With Arteta behind us, I trust him. I think most of the fans trust him.
I don't agree with you. Why should we stay away from the quality players? We'll stay away from the 60, 70 million pound players for a reason.
But here's the thing, Sonny. If you could get a 23-year-old,
there's no point buying a Pepe, right? And then we're buying a load of loans.
No, we should buy an all players. All of our players should be
buy it on a structure.
You can't buy a potentially world class player and then buy a potentially average, potentially good player. You got to buy to a standard that they should be a standard to play for Arsenal. You know, you don't stay away from the big signings. You shouldn't concentrate on little signings either. You need to build a collective. You know, but you still need your world class players. Arsenal always had world class players. Now we haven't got one.
Oh, we've got a couple.
One.
Come on, Dev. Who's world class? Come on.
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
He's world class.
He's a world class striker.
Yeah, he is. He's world class.
No chance. No chance.
Top 5 striker in the world.
No chance. He's not world class.
I think he is.
He is.
It's opinion based, honestly. That's your definition of world class is different from ours. Guys, I'm gonna just jump.
He's a world class finisher. Don't make him a world class player.
Okay, guys, I'm just gonna jump into another topic quickly. I wanted to touch on this. Who's more to blame for the situation we're in now? Is it the guy on the right or the guy on the left? What do you guys think?
The guy sitting above them in the box.
Exactly.
Does that happen to be this guy?
That guy.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Sir
Chip Keswick.
Even the guy behind him, I blame him as well.
Yeah, Sir Chips Keswick.
It's the guy that went to it.
Is he the one to save this also? Is he also the guy to fix this? So my whole speech is about who's to blame and who's going to fix it.
You had a cabal with Gazidis and
that's
the
Kroenkes.
There was mismanagement for a decade. You had a manager stay too long. I feel that when we broke the trophy drought against Hull, Wenger should have retired.
You know what? Wenger's been gone a couple of years now. We've got to move past Wenger now.
No, understandable. I'm not bringing him back up. I'm just saying we were put in a 5-year holding pattern.
100%.
We were put in a 5-year holding pattern because somebody didn't want to leave, and we gave Arsene the opportunity to stay as long as he wanted, and it just got bad. And we, it makes it even worse in the fact that you really could have had Jurgen Klopp. But you decided to give Arsene Wenger a 2-year extension. But that's all water under the bridge, and that doesn't matter now because we have the guy in that I believe is going to be our next 10-year manager. Hopefully, I really, really, really hope that Arteta is back, and I hope that he's given everything that he needs.
If we got Klopp or Pep, Arsenal would have ruined their careers.
See, I hope not. I would hope not. That's all I can say is I would hope not. And like I said, it's revisionist history to say, what could have happened, but we've got the guy in place now, and that's all that matters. Emery was a clown show, and it was a panic hire. He was drummed out by his own players at PSG. I feel like that was a bad signing, but nobody was going to be the guy to replace the guy.
Guys, let's debunk what Sonny just said. Sonny just said Pep Guardiola and Klopp, if they came to Arsenal, it would be suicide for their careers. Does that mean they're not good managers? Or does that just mean you're saying the club is so bad, it doesn't matter if you bring the best manager in the history, put him in our club, he's gonna somehow not be able to fix it?
Pep Guardiola is a checkbook manager.
They wouldn't be back. They wouldn't be back, would they? They wouldn't be back.
What Sonny's saying is the players ain't good enough. And no matter what manager comes in, they could have done nothing. And
they wouldn't have been back. They wouldn't have been back.
Oh, yeah. And Pep Guardiola has never been in a situation where he didn't have the full backing of a club. Look, everywhere where he's been, he has had an open checkbook.
Yeah. No, Sonny's right. They would have failed. They would ruin their career. Just because it's not the players' fault. They can only be as good as what they are. If they're crap or they're shit or they're below average, it's not their fault.
Listen, the back lies in one place and one place alone, and that's Stan Kroenke.
Exactly.
David Dean for introducing Stan Kroenke too.
Yeah. David Dean's mum for having David Dean. She's got to go back even further.
So no, it doesn't lay in either manager. It's been bad. It's
Guys,
been bad.
1 second. Melvin's been waiting. Melvin's been waiting to jump in. Melvin?
No, I think it's Gazidis gets off, in my opinion, scot-free. I don't think he should, but he does. Wenger, I blame as well, because he stopped us not necessarily getting the best managers. We wouldn't have got Klopp, I don't think, because once Klopp would have met our owner, he would have gone, what can I have? You got 2 and 6, so he wouldn't have joined us anyway. I think Klopp's cleverer than that, and the same with anyone else that would have joined us that was decent. You blame the owner to a degree, but I don't think he's 100% wrong.
But Mel, can I ask you something,
Yeah.
Mel? What if Coutinho wasn't at Liverpool when Klopp came there, and they wouldn't have sold him for 180 million?
Right, what they would have done, Steve, they
No,
wouldn't have been as good. They wouldn't have been as good as they are now, but they've been a hell of a lot better than us because they got a spirit there. They had that spirit before they bought Van Dijk, and they were lacking a centre half. And if they hadn't have bought Van Dijk, they'd have bought someone for half the price, not as good, but would have improved their team to a level much better than ours.
Fenway Sports Group has pumped money into Liverpool. Stan Kroenke has kept Arsenal on a self-sustaining model.
When Klopp first came to Liverpool, he said Liverpool didn't need to spend big, right? He said Liverpool didn't need to spend big, but he soon realised that he was only going to get Liverpool so far, and obviously then he needs to spend big, and that's what he's done, and he's got Liverpool to where they are now.
He also made very tough decisions too. I mean, look at what Liverpool had and no longer has: Luis Suarez, Philippe Coutinho. They've spent well. They've spent that money well. Sadio Mane for 30 to 35 million pounds is a steal. That's probably one of the most dangerous attackers in the league. And they got him on the cheap. And everybody was making fun of him for seasons because all they were doing were buying Southampton's players. But look at what they did with it.
You know what? Arsenal would have been a completely different team if we didn't bid the 40 million and £1 for Suarez and we went and just put 50 million on the table. Would have been a different team. Different club.
Who do you reckon's fault that, honey?
That's Wenger and Gazidis.
No, that's Wenger. That's Wenger.
Gazidis had something to do with it, I'm sure. I
listened to articles about this, and they talked heavily about this, and they said the frugalness of the situations always came down to Wenger. And with Wenger, if somebody came to Wenger and said we should pay a little bit more, he says no, we have a cutoff. He was the one making the decision, saying we have cutoffs. I don't think it was Ivan Gazidis.
Yeah, but always doing cutting off a nose to spite a face. You know,
also, dude, Gazidis was the one who convinced him that there was a release clause that didn't exist. So the whole 42 million plus a pound, like that's on both of them. And you're right. If we would have come back with the money that we had and put in a proper bid, I mean, what did Suarez go for? What, 89? So our bid was half of what he went for one season later. Come on.
I mean,
that's clown show shit.
Yeah, one thing for sure, which is a guarantee, you don't really lose money on quality footballers, do you? Top class, world class footballers, you don't lose money on ever.
Not if they get you in the Champions League and sell a bunch of kits.
Yeah.
So unless you're Arsenal.
It will get better one day, please.
I mean, another one we missed out on, Eden Hazard. You know, was in the race with Chelsea. Then Chelsea went to 32 million, and they took him. We went out.
But we got Gervinho instead.
Yeah.
Yes, but at that time, whatever we would have bid, Chelsea would have bid 2 million more. We were never going to get Hazard ever. They had the men behind and we didn't. We just come to a new stadium. It was the time we were selling more than we were buying. No way would we have got Hazard unless Chelsea pulled out.
Now Conte, on the other hand, Conte and Granit Xhaka, that's the argument that we could have when we
big time. Yeah, I agree with that one.
Guys,
yeah.
I'm gonna find a soundbite for you guys from the Gab and Jules show on ESPN. Basically, they had the head director from I forget what he does. Tim Tim Markham, who's the head
Not Mark
strategy
Godfrey.
of football development at Football Manager, and he was discussing the Newcastle proposal for the takeover, and he said the biggest club in the world that's available right now that is a sleeping giant that could actually be sold, I'm hearing, is not Tottenham, is not AC Milan, it's not any of those other clubs, it's Arsenal. Because of their geographical location, their owner is actually not as invested personally to the club as other owners, and he would be more willing to sell than a Chelsea's owner would be willing to sell, and a Tottenham's owner would be willing to sell.
It's not going to happen.
So from the club,
he has held on. He has held on to the Colorado Rapids. He has held on to the Colorado Avalanche. He has held on to the Los Angeles Rams. He
Denver Nuggets.
He does not buy. He does not buy teams to sell them. They are long-term investments. They are his
going nowhere.
toys.
He's going
You've got to
nowhere.
understand. You've got to understand. This guy literally owns a stretch of land in the United States that damn near connects Canada to Mexico. The federal government stopped him from purchasing land parcels. You know, like, he is not interested in selling. I've heard Dangote in Nigeria is going to buy him. That his African Wealth Fund stock is down something like 60%. You know what I mean? So you'd have to find a buyer that would pay what $4 to every one that it's worth. You know, I mean, buying Arsenal right now is not a smart investment. It's just not.
The only one who's willing to sell is Abramovich, because he can't rebuild on Chelsea's ground because it's going to cost too much money because he has to use the exact same site. And he's not even allowed it in the country. So the only person who really want to sell is Abramovich. He's played with his train set. He's got bored of it now.
And the sleeping giant to me, I'm sorry, they have a great facility and they have an amazing history, is Newcastle. Newcastle with St. James Park and 50,000 fans every week. They've got a history. They've got a dedicated fan base that will sell out that stadium. And if you give them a reason to come every single week, Newcastle could be that sleeping giant with proper investment. But if they go out and they try to buy these flashy names, it's going to be a failed experiment that they'll sell on in 10 years to somebody else.
And then the biggest club in the Northeast. They're the biggest club in the Northeast as well.
But yes, they might be the biggest club. Go back 20, 30 years, Newcastle, if they're a sleeping giant, then would be a great investment. Nowadays, it's irrelevant because the only people that support Newcastle are the people from Newcastle. They haven't got any global reach at all, or perhaps will they ever? And that's the difference.
Their beer is amazing.
What's that?
I said their beer is amazing, though.
Yeah,
but neither did Man City. But the next 10 years, generation of fans outside of England are going to be Man City fans.
1 second, guys. I found the clip. Listen to this.
What club for you would be the most appealing?
Can you hear that?
Effectively, you look at the level of wealth and, let's just say, the resources that are there. You would expect that if the Saudis were coming into the market, that they try and buy the biggest asset that's available. And I don't think this is necessarily available, but most football clubs at the right offer, the owners will sell. And for that reason, I think Arsenal would be the one that would probably be the most interesting to them if they were moving into. I know Arsenal are moving slightly down in terms of their let's just say Premier League status, but they're still a big London-based club. And you mentioned the geographical element earlier on, Gabby. I think that factor comes in to all of this because let's face it, if you're involved in this from a Saudi perspective, you're probably going to be basing yourself in London and just going up to. So
that was his point. That is directly from ESPN FC, Gab Marcotti and Jules podcast. And what you got Mark, what's his name, Hausman or something like that, director of strategies for Football Manager, and he helps people buy. His business is to help people buy and sell football clubs.
You hear what he said though? He used the magic word, if. Very big word.
I was just about to say if. And here's the other big thing.
That blanks everything.
If Kroenke wouldn't sell to Usmanov for $3 for every valued dollar, I mean, he wouldn't sell to Usmanov and Mashri. What makes you think he's going to sell to the Saudi sovereign wealth fund? It's not going to happen. It's just not.
He's just wasted his breath. Arsenal could be the biggest, the number one thing to buy in the history of football. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because he's not selling anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Guys, I'm not the one that's saying this.
Oh no, we know.
I'm
know
bringing
that.
this information to you because let's be honest, that was a good soundbite to listen to. Realistically,
Yeah.
as a fan,
It's irrelevant.
when you're constantly listening to stuff about Barcelona, Real Madrid, and for a second they shout out Arsenal as the best option if you have money and you're willing to buy a club that needs money, go buy Arsenal. Because when you
He's probably
think
right.
sleeping giant, you go buy Newcastle. They're not necessarily a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
Arsenal, with the
Yeah.
wage that we have, the wage bill that we have, you could turn around the club quicker than any other club.
But there's one problem in all that. Stan Kroenke, and he's never going to sell.
Forget about that. If Arsenal have reached their limit on FFP as well, and they've got all these players on their maximum wages, whoever buys Arsenal, they're still going to have the same problem. They still can't shift these players they've got.
Yeah. It's we're in a right.
But if a
old
$2
state,
trillion,
basically.
if a $2 trillion wealth fund wants to come in and purchase us, I mean, damn their human rights abuses, I guess. Let's lift that trophy.
I mean, it's about our human rights now. It's not about anybody else's.
We deserve something now after all these years, don't we? Bloody hell.
Yeah.
So
God.
guys, just before I wrap it up, I'm gonna ask people in the comment section if you have any questions that you want to ask anybody, say their name and then put a question mark at the end of your sentence, and I'll read it out.
I've got questions. I've got a question
ahead.
I want to ask everybody, and we did this the other day, but it came out that Mikel Arteta, in articles today, has told the board he wants the funds to sign 3 players. He's looking at defenders, he's looking at a striker, and he's looking at a central midfielder. Now, with those parameters, 3, who are the 3 signings you're making to make Arsenal great again? Let's do it. Come on, I'll go at the end. You already know my one.
So only 3 guys, and
Only 3, and stay in
it.
defender, central mid, striker.
And just say the names. We'll
Realistic choices or
Defender, I'll go up from Kanu.
Okay.
Or Koulibaly, right, as a defender, someone of that level, or also the German guy,
Jonathan Tah.
Midfielder will have to be a Partey. And up front, you know what I'll go for? Jovic.
Okay.
If we lost Aubameyang, I'll go Jovic.
Okay, so Sonny is pretty much saying all the people that were being targeted right now. Steve?
Well, yeah, I mean, Sonny's said the exact same people that I would say, and I was waiting for him to see who he would say a striker, and I didn't think he would say Jovic, but yeah, I was going to say Jovic as well, and watch Transfer Exchange show on Sunday and see my speech about Jovic. Don't miss it.
Okay. Melvin, who are your 3?
I suppose I've been taking it all with a pinch of salt the last couple of months. I haven't really studied as perhaps I should have done, but what I've heard, I suppose, what Sonny said, you can't go far away from what Sonny said. I probably agree.
Okay. I would go Dan Axel Zagadou. I would go Abdoulaye Doucouré. And up front, I don't want anybody to stunt Martinelli. I want another partner. So, I mean, Jovic is nice, but I'm looking at more of a winger, and I'm going to go get David Neres from Ajax.
Okay, I'm going to go realistic, and I'm going to try to stay away from guys that you guys have picked. So when it comes to attackers, I'm going to go I'm going to go, what do you call it? I'm going to stay within the Premier League, and I'm going to go get Diego Jota from Wolves. I'm going to go for the midfield. I'm going to go to Leicester, and I'm going to go to Leicester, and I'm going to try to get Ndidi. That's going to be
85 million pounds.
Okay, so forget about that. That's not realistic. I'm going to go to Norwich, and I'm going to go get Bundia. He's been one of the leaders in the league in assists. He has 7 assists already this year for Norwich City. I think he's a decent, good option for the midfield. Obviously, he's not no Doucouré, but he's just a decent option. And then defender, I would spend majority of our money in the defense, and I would try to go get Upamecano. And if we cannot get Upamecano, I would then downgrade to go get a Jonathan Tah.
And see, here's another name that nobody mentioned that I think would be brilliant. I think if we were to spend more money in the defense, Lewis Dunk and Max Aarons from North.
Just one quick question. What's the biggest area what needs improving? Defence or midfield?
Midfield.
Central defensive mid. so it's kind of a trick question.
Okay, so first question's for you, Devon. What do you think about this? What if Kroenke loses his lawsuit against the city of St. Louis for moving the Rams?
Yeah, for illegally moving the Rams. He, like I said, he's also got some major issues with that stadium with having to buy land parcels to put in water pipes and sewers. It's going to be bad. He's in a tough situation. That's why I keep saying, like, take everything that you hear about him pumping cash in with a grain of salt, because he's hemorrhaging money. Now, granted, his wife is raking it in, but she hasn't pumped anything in, so it could be bad. It could be really, really bad.
Next question is for Sonny. Would you take Thomas Partey or Ndidi?
I'll take Partey over Ndidi, to be honest with you. Ndidi for me, I think is overhyped. I don't get it.
Okay.
It'd be another situation where you could get basically the same player for half the cost.
Okay. Next question. I'm gonna move on to here. Would you guys take Dries Mertens on a free? Melvin, I'll let you take this one.
I don't know too much about him, to be honest with you.
The kid from Napoli, Belgian.
A 32-year-old. He's no kid.
32-year-old.
Is he 32?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't take
Belgium.
him. No way.
Belgium.
No.
Devon, this is another question for you.
Is Joseph Martinez good? He's a monster. He's recovering from a torn ACL, but he's an MLS MVP. He's a 34-goal scorer in a season. He's a monster. He is a guy that you can count on for a goal a match. He's every team in MLS's focal point for their defense.
How come he hasn't joined a Premier League team yet?
He came from Torino. He came to us from Torino, and he was racially abused in Italy. He said many times that Europe is not a destination for him anymore. He loves it in Atlanta. He's purchased a house here. He's called Atlanta his Barcelona. He wants to play where he's appreciated, and he feels like he's found his home. Plus, he's the fourth highest paid player in the league. We have a DP system to where he doesn't affect our cap, so he may never leave here.
No, I wasn't saying that they might do that. That was just a good snippet that I heard.
No. He was racially abused in Italy, and just doesn't want to go back.
Oh, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. I didn't know about that. That's sad to hear. You don't want anyone to go through any of that kind of stuff nowadays. Like, it's just ridiculous. Or anytime, actually. You just want people to move on. Steve, I'm gonna give you this question. What do you think about who do you think Arteta will make a captain if Aubameyang leaves?
Hector Bellerin.
Damn it!
You know what? I was thinking about this the other day for about 40 minutes and couldn't come up with someone.
Okay, Steve, we don't have 40 minutes. I'm joking.
No. If he, I mean, come on. I mean, look, we're in trouble for captains. We all know that. But if anybody, if I had to pick someone and he stayed, it would be David Luiz.
Yeah, I agree with that. Anyone else?
In 2 years' time, Kieran Tierney will be your club captain.
You know what? I'll go with that as well. I'll say Tierney as well.
Guys,
Kieran Tierney in 2 years' time.
I'm going to take this one, please. And anyone who disagrees with me, let me know right now. To me, Jack Grealish, overhyped. He plays for Aston Villa. He's a midfielder who fills into the left-hand spot, and he crosses balls in from the left-hand side. Sometimes he's playing as a left-handed attacking central midfielder. Sometimes he's playing in a part of a midfield three. To me, his price, he's getting overrated by his price. They're putting him in a price bracket of the Coutinhos of the world. They're putting him in the price bracket of $100 million player, $80 million player. To me, he's not worth that much money.
I just want to say to Melvin, you know what? I've never seen a player dribble the ball better than do you know what I liken him to, Melvin? I don't know whether you agree or not. Liam Brady when it comes to dribbling.
Oh yeah. Finding space as well. He finds so much space, Grealish.
Would you spend the same money for Madison as you would for Grealish?
Yes, I would, because Madison's younger.
No. But the only worry I've got with Jack Grealish is that whether he could do it for a side in the top six. I mean, look at Wilfried Zaha. He was the same sort of player. Went up to Man United and just failed. That's the only thing I would
Lukaku as well.
Could do in the top 6.
Lukaku as well. There's pressure. There's pressure at a club like Arsenal that doesn't exist at Everton.
Can I say something really controversial?
Yeah.
I'll take Lukaku over Lacazette.
Can't really argue with that. That's
You
not
took
really
an hour right there, I think. I don't know about that, man. Okay, another overrated English player. He left Ireland to come to England to just get more overrated. Chelsea were quoted 80 million before this whole coronavirus happened if they want to approach West Ham for a sale of Declan Rice. Now West Ham are saying they're willing to lower their price from 80 to 70 if Chelsea are willing to pay 70 million for Declan Rice. To me, he's overrated. I would rather have Guendouzi than have Declan Rice and have to worry about his headaches. What about you guys?
And they're both shit.
Is that question for me?
I think the English.
Asking me.
Everybody, jump in. Free for all.
Declan Rice.
The English prime is going to.
No, he's way over. You've already said it, haven't you? He's way overrated. Every time I see him, I can't work out what everybody sees in him. Guendouzi, I can't see what anybody sees in him either. So who would I take? The fact that Guendouzi is already here, be Guendouzi, but I think both of them are well overrated and not good enough for Arsenal.
Okay, guys, this is the last question of the night, and then we're going to move on.
Real quick on that. Would you say that there is a tendency to overrate English midfielders between Wilshere and Grealish, and ever since Beckham, there's been this overrated, inflated opinion on English midfielders.
Everybody, my new Twitter. Listen well, it might not be here forever. Official Sunny 1. So it's official with a big O, Sunny with a big S. 1. Official Sunny 1 is a new Twitter.
There we go.
Okay, and now, Devon, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, he was saying about overrated.
Overrated
English footballers.
Yeah, because a couple of years ago there was rumors that we were going to sell Jack Wilshere to Man City for 65 million. It's like, and now he can barely get in a West Ham side. So I just wonder if there's we talk about Maddison, we talk about Grealish, we talk about all these players and these inflated prices. This market has literally put such a level of expectation on these players that they're literally crumbling under it, and it's just sad.
You've touched it, Devon. You've touched a little nerve when we talked about Jack Wilshere.
Glass ankles Wilshere.
I thought he was so overrated. I'm sorry, all the Jack Wilshere lovers out there, but he wasn't as good as what everybody said. And every argument that comes back to me, they say, "Oh, but do you remember that one game against Barcelona?" Yeah, I remember that one game, but he was so overrated. And exactly what you said when you said about overrated English footballers. He was the first one that came to my head. I don't know what anyone else thinks.
Okay, guys,
I don't agree.
Head out.
I don't agree. I think he was good. It could have been a lot better without his injuries. Obviously, I thought we had something.
Hit me up on Twitter as well. I'm at Devon for Real. DEVON, the number 4 REAL. Devon for Real.
Check him out.
Right,
Steve, where can people find you on Twitter?
Steve AFC 71 on Twitter.
Melvin,
that's where you find me.
At Melvin Marks, I'm afraid. That's it. End of.
Okay. For me, it's the Kitty G, and you see that's at Sunny official Sunny 1. I can't read for some reason today. What the hell's going on?
If I lose that Twitter, it's going to be official Sunny 2 the one after.
Okay, and this has been the Football Roundup show where we've talked about how to make Arsenal great again. We've talked about Lacazette and Aubameyang. We've talked about Newcastle, Arteta. Close your eyes for the evil guy. We've talked about the old, the past, and possibly the new. So I'm going to let you guys go.
Oh, the kids. One thing we didn't talk about was me gate crashing the podcast.
Way to storm the gate, Sonny.
Sonny. If you didn't realize, the numbers went up the moment you came back. We were sitting at like 30 people. It went up to like 55. Check out the tattoo, everybody.
Big up yourself.
And we're out of here, guys. Enjoy.
The chest.
Dev,
The
you're
chest.
always welcome to come on, bro, whenever you want.
Thank you, brother. Love you
Really
guys. Be
enjoyed
easy,
it.
man.
Cheers.
Have a great
Cheers,
weekend.
David.
Thanks everyone
care,
in the
guys.
comment section. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Dave.